She became a thief. When the ambulance drove into the normal school, Gao Honghai tried to escape, but obviously failed. The 5 male students from the school guard sprinted together and immediately grabbed Gao Honghai. Gao Honghai's struggle was extremely violent, accompanied by roars. But everything Gao Honghai did was in vain. The boys from the school guard immediately subdued him and pushed him to the ground. The doctor in a white coat walked up and gave Gao Honghai an injection very neatly. The effect of this injection was extremely miraculous. All the teachers and classmates saw this vivid and interesting picture. That crystal liquid was very good at doing its job. It quietly and slowly finished Gao Honghai's work. Gao Honghai softened and his stomach still bulged a few times, but it got weaker and weaker. It was definitely the last struggle. Finally settled, and his eyes became dull, turning blind, like a fish laying on the shore. His mouth opened weakly, and a long stream of saliva flowed out. The students firmly believed that from that moment on, Chu Tian could never be Chu Tian, but only be Gao Honghai. The night Gao Honghai was dragged away by the ambulance, Yuyang became a thief and actually stole something. At 9:28 p.m., the lights in the dormitory were about to go out, and Yuyang quietly slipped into the cafeteria. The time was calculated by Yuyang accurately. Not earlier or later, she was hunched over, and her heart was so nervous that it almost jumped out of her chest. However, Yuyang controlled herself and tiptoed to the shelf where the boys put the bowls. She looked back and forth a few times, then calmed down and listened for a while. There was no movement around, and she finally turned on her flashlight. She was looking, roll after row. Chu Tian's enamel rice bowl was finally found by Yuyang. There were 3 red English letters on the bowl, CHT, which is the abbreviation of Chu Tian in Chinese pinyin. Yuyang was already familiar with these 3 letters. She didn't know how many times she had picked at them. Now it was right in front of Yuyang, and it had never been so close. Yuyang stretched out her right hand and took out Chu Tian's stainless steel spoon. Yuyang put Chu Tian's spoon into her pocket, turned off the flashlight, turned around, and ran away. Yuyang bumped into the dining table when she was about to go out. It was her knee. The bone was hit, and it hurt terribly. But Yuyang dared not stay and quickly evacuated the scene. She rushed into the girls' dormitory building almost as soon as the lights were turned off. Yuyang walked into the 412 dormitory, and the conversation in the dormitory stopped immediately as soon as she entered the door. Yuyang went to bed without washing and lowered the mosquito net. Yuyang took out the spoon from her pocket, hesitated for a moment in the dark, and then suddenly put it into her mouth. Her tongue felt the coldness of the stainless steel, which reached the hidden and the deepest part of her body, as well as the hardness and the smooth curvature of the stainless steel. Yuyang's tears burst out immediately, burning hot. At the same time, Yuyang's knees were also burned, and the wound there must be bleeding. Yuyang wrapped the quilt up to the top of her head and lay on the pillow. She was choking. Her choke sobs moved the bed frame, and the bed shook together. Kong Zhaodi in the upper bunk said, "Yuyang, why are you laughing secretly alone? Tell us." Outside of work, Mr. Wei Xiangdong's favorite thing was certainly joking with female teachers. Flirting with female teachers had almost become Wei Xiangdong's hobby. No one thought that Wei Xiangdong's mouth would really cause trouble. As the saying goes, words spoken too much leads to mistakes. Qi Lianjuan, a female teacher in the chemistry group, had been married for 2 years and had never received tools from Mr. Wei Xiangdong. However, her belly had not been able to bulge yet. Since he was used to vulgarity, one day he suddenly made a joke about Miss Qi because of his slippery mouth. Miss Qi was a very cheerful person, but that day she failed and fell out with Mr. Wei Xiangdong. When he was joking, it wasn't just Wei Xiangdong and Miss Qi, there were many other teachers. After talking for a while, Wei Xiangdong brought up the topic there. Wei Xiangdong smiled and said, Miss Qi, it's time to have a baby. If your husband wants to be lazy, you still have me. If I don't help you, who should I help? If it had been another female teacher, she would have fought with Wei Xiangdong. After fighting and pinching, they could further deepen their friendship and enhance unity. It would be fine. But Miss Qi was not like this. Her face slowly turned red, but it was more like it turned red suddenly, and it became purple and swollen. It was obvious that she couldn't hold it back. Miss Qi turned around and laughed. Before leaving, she threw a few words. Don't be shameless. What thing are you? Several teachers had sarcastic expressions on their faces. Wei Xiangdong couldn't help but feel ashamed, and they talked nonsense, scattered. Miss Qi's husband, a ranking cadre's son, stayed on at the school after graduation. He was socially inept, like a piece of chalk. If you hold him down, he can squeak out a few words. If you don't touch him, he will be voiceless. This experimenter in the chemical lab with mediocre talent didn't expect that he would marry a skillful wife who never forgives. Wei Xiangdong choked after being forced and returned to the union's office, feeling extremely unhappy.